Hi, I'm Charles Purcell. This is the log for Friday, July 17. Well, let's put another week in the books here. Let me start with just a little recap of how things ought to be working. Just a gentle reminder. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and everybody should just stay home. Now, I know that idea just reeks with privilege because everybody can't stay home. But here's the way the world ought to work right now. Everybody and anybody should have the opportunity to do good creative work in a safe manner. So if you're an artist, if you're a teacher, if you're a scientist, any number of people out there making the world turn, doing wonderful things for their fellow human beings, you really ought to have that opportunity to continue to do that. And mostly it's going to be from your home, and mostly it's going to be online. And when you have to go out, it's with very careful social distancing and masks and all of that. Because that's just where we are. So folks like that, either practicing or aspiring contributors to society, keep it up. It's the first thing I want to acknowledge. There are wonderful, beautiful people in the world doing wonderful, beautiful things. And we just have to give them every opportunity to do it. I just have so much admiration for so many people with their own particular skill set, their own particular point of view. The world is still just a wonderful place. And I want to acknowledge that right off the bat. Now, a little reminder here about essential workers, which now we've come to understand, people who grow and distribute our food. I'm talking about the real essentials here. Clean water, electricity, food, the basics, the things we really need. So as we've said many times, and I just want to reiterate on this Friday, all essential work should be volunteer. That is, no one should be forced to do it. They should be compensated well, hazard pay, health care, all of it. Anybody who decides to work out there in essential work should be doing it entirely on their own accord, not for fear of starving or becoming homeless. Everybody should be taken care of. There's no such thing as scarcity. There's plenty of money and plenty of resources and plenty of food and plenty of everything we need to go around. We just have to upend the whole system, that's all. Now that brings us to non-essential. Non-essential. We should be doing zero non-essential activities that put us in any danger at all. And there are a lot of damn non-essential activities. Most of what you see on the news every night, in our little happy stories. Come on down for the latest fish fry. Most retail, selling us dopey tchotchkes and things we don't need. Restaurants, eating out, bars, drinking, all of it are completely non-essential. They're trivial. Shut them all down, lock them all down, throw away the key. In a manner that is not endangering any of these people. You're not taking away anybody's livelihood. Again, there's plenty to go around. Give everybody a UBI. Give everybody food. Give everybody shelter. Cancel rent. Cancel mortgage. There's plenty. Scarcity is a lie. It's the biggest lie of all. So when I say shut down the restaurant, I'm not being heartless to this hard-working woman who's spent her life savings and her life's work on establishing this place of business, this restaurant she loves, and she loves her employees, and she loves her customers. That's all fine. That's all wonderful. No, I'm not being heartless about this person. No, she should be able to lock up, go home, read books, get a UBI, and when this is all over, she unlocks the doors, walks in, opens up, does a little cleaning, and we're ready to go. No, I don't want anybody to lose their business. I don't want anybody to lose their livelihood. I don't want anybody to become homeless or hungry. No, take care of everybody. There's plenty to go around. Stop believing the lies that there isn't. Shut down all non-essential business until this thing is behind us. And when everyone is free to use their own intellect and creativity, we'll find lots of alternatives. We'll find lots of ways to help us through this thing. Because, yeah, we need socialization, kids especially. I'm not discounting that. There are the problems of domestic abuse. Sure, all problems that need to be solved. Many different ways in which we have to adapt to our current condition. Of course, we give every attention to that. But to think for 1 second the answer to domestic abuse is to open up bars, that is some awfully counterproductive thinking and small thinking. Really, at the heart of what's on my mind today is the fact that I open with, there are beautiful, wonderful people in the world. I am constantly amazed at our capacity. You guys are smart, you're intelligent, you're creative, you're unique. Unleash the power of this intelligence, this creativity. And how do you do that? You do that by putting everybody at ease. Give everybody a UBI. All non-essential work, just take care of yourselves. Don't feel any pressure that you have to come out and do dog grooming. Nobody has to do dog grooming for a couple of years. You know what? I love dogs. It's kind of nice and fun and healthy and good and for many reasons to keep your dog well groomed. Who's against that? Nobody's against that. We can do without it for a year or two. Let's just get our priorities straight. Let's just put all of our efforts into being kind to one another and helping each other and being healthy and not dying. Painful death. All right. So there you go. So you know about this, right? The Orange Menace has no plan, no idea what to do at all about the pandemic. And really what he'd like to do most of all is pretend it's not there, try to convince us that it's not a problem. And, of course, in that effort, you know about this story, he has instructed hospitals to send their information not to the CDC, but to HHS, Health and Human Services. So, closer to him, the CDC has some independence. Health and Human Services is more under his thumb in his administration. So the whole idea is that now we'll take the information, all the information you have about, all the numbers and the stats and everything, this daily voluminous information that is disseminated. No, send that directly to us. That way we can hide it, fudge the numbers, hide the numbers. And, of course, it's all about his own ego and his own power, and that's all that he cares about. We all know this. And so when this story came out a few days ago, we all thought, well, this is bad. And the headline I'm looking at right now, days after hospitals were told to stop sending information to the CDC, all the fears appear justified, at least according to Mark Sumner of Daily Kos. Until this week, hospitals across the nation sent their data each day to the National Healthcare Safety Network. There had been some complaints about this network, mostly that it was unforgiving when it came to the data format and didn't provide flexibility for capturing additional information. But that information fed dashboards at the CDC, which provided information not just on the number of confirmed cases and deaths, but on the rates of hospitalization and number of available beds. On Thursday morning, that was yesterday, on Thursday morning, that site temporarily vanished. Then it returned featuring data from last week. The change in where and how hospitals report data, backed up by Donald threatening to send the National Guard in to make them, quote, do it right, means that the CDC is now bypassed. Instead, the data is now going into a new system from HHS, and what's coming out is significantly less information. Just a couple of days into the new program, Experts at both the state and national level are finding that the change is doing exactly what many feared, making it more difficult to track the threat of COVID-19. So there you go. Just wanted to give you that little happy news. A few days ago when this story came out, anybody with half a brain could see the writing on the wall. This isn't good. And it's confirmed within a matter of just a couple of days here. As the Idaho Statesman reported, the switchover had an immediate effect on the ability of state officials to see what was going on in their own states, with the spokesperson for the Idaho Department of Health reporting significant challenges in their ability to monitor the number of hospitalizations. With the way information is now being routed, it's not being congregated at the state level or available on the public website of the CDC. It's all going into HHS directly from individual hospitals, and what comes out the other side is only what the White House chooses to make available. Again, let me repeat that. What comes out the other side is only what the White House chooses to make available. All right, now, here's where I have to claim ignorance. I'm the biggest dummy in the world. Will somebody please explain to me how this is even possible? Under what authority does the president dictate to hospitals where they can send their information, how they deal with it? I don't understand. We talked this week about the power of the presidency. It's my opinion that executives generally, mayors, governors, presidents, have too much power. And almost on a daily basis, we'll see some sort of story about how a president or a mayor or a governor orders something. The president has the authority to just can he just tell me what I can do with my information? Can he tell me what I can talk about on my podcast? I don't understand. I'm the idiot here. Someone explain this to me. How did he have any authority to do this in the first place? I don't get it. I honestly just don't understand at all. I agree with Charles B. Pierce. He's a writer for Common Dreams. And he says that hospitals should tell Trump to shove his orders and send their data to the CDC anyway. Can't they do that? Here's what he has to say. This article in Common Dreams starts with a quote from the New York Times. So let me read to you. I'll read you from the paper. I like when he reads me from the paper. The Trump administration has ordered hospitals to bypass the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and, beginning on Wednesday, send all coronavirus patient information to a central database in Washington, a move that has alarmed public health experts who fear the data will be distorted for political gain. Yeah, you think? The new instructions are contained in a little-noticed document posted this week on the Department of Health and Human Services website. Yeah, this article is from a few days ago when it wasn't well known immediately. It got well known pretty quickly. Cheryl Gay Stolberg reports, from now on, HHS, that's Health and Human Services, and not the CDC, will collect daily reports about the patients that each hospital is treating, how many beds and ventilators are available, and other information vital to tracking the pandemic. Centralizing control of all data under the umbrella of an inherently political apparatus is dangerous and breeds distrust, said Nicole Lurie, who served as Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response under former President Barack Obama. It appears to cut off the ability of agencies like CDC to do its basic job. This is crazy, writes Charles Pierce. We agree. This is evil. This is nuke the moon to control the tides crazy. This is Bond villain level evil. The CDC was so long considered the gold standard on public health that a number of countries set up their own versions, which they called the CDC. Yeah, I noticed that too. I was surprised when I I did a little research on this recently, and I looked around at other nations, and they call them, several of them call it the CDC in their own countries. Continuing here. But because science and empiricism and reason itself are anathema to the administration, we have to rely on some unnamed central database, which is probably in one of Ivanka's handbags, handling the data with no oversight at all. Of course, no thinking person would trust Camp Run Amok to handle a fork right now. Hospitals should tell the administration to shove its orders and send the data to the CDC anyway. It's time for hundreds of little rebellions. Charles Pierce is a writer at large for Esquire. All right, so there you go. Now, my question to you, because actually I was hoping Charles P. Pierce might elucidate on how this is done, because I don't know, and I'm asking you right now. All right, my question goes out to you. What's stopping hospitals from sending their data to the CDC? And what is stopping the CDC from accepting that data, accumulating it, and collating it, and assessing it as they normally would? What's stopping them? This is my question to you. I honestly don't know the answer to this. Does the president have this power? And if so, why? That is just insane to me. Why in the world would the president even have that power? I don't think he does. Does he? Why aren't hospitals just giving him the finger? I did a rather verbose opinion piece recently on another program where I suggested that everyone who has to deal with this guy, just literally shun him. Just ignore him. Just literally turn your back on him. Whether you're a chef in the White House or an underling, an administrative assistant, a secretary, anybody that has to work with him in Congress, people in his cabinet, anybody with a conscience at this point just needs to literally, I'm not talking figuratively here, I'm not talking in metaphor, I mean quite literally ignore him. Quite literally turn your back on him. Refuse to acknowledge his presence. He needs to be shunned out of existence, was the gist of my commentary the other day. So, yeah, why aren't the hospitals doing that? Why aren't all of us doing that? Why isn't everybody doing that? Anybody with a conscience. That weird press conference he had this week. There wasn't a press conference at all. It timed out, they told us 63 minutes of just a sort of a campaign rally speech. He calls a press conference, makes it sound like it's some urgent need to talk to the press, and he just comes out and rambles for 63 minutes about the most ridiculous things, and of course filled with his typical lies, and gives this despicable Trumpian word salad tirade in the guise of a press conference. No president has ever done this before. Now, my question is, just like why don't the hospitals just ignore him, why did the press remain there for the full 63 minutes? What I want to see is every person in that press corps stand up, turn their back on him, and walk away while he's talking. I mean, it was clear within the first few minutes what was happening here. And it went on for 63 minutes. So at some point, at the 5 or 10 minute mark, when it becomes clear what's happening, at the 20-minute mark, at the 30-minute mark, somebody have the courage and the decency just to stand up, look him in the eye, turn around, and walk away. And then the next one does, and the next one does, and before you know it, he is talking to 25 empty chairs. Now, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? And wouldn't that make a lot of sense? Press corps. Do it. Please do it. One of the things he was ranting about in his little rally, because he can't do rallies anymore, of course. Nobody shows up to them. So he has to do a little rally for the press corps because they're the only ones who'll show up. So one of the things he's talking about, his favorite things now, is that Joe Biden is going to destroy suburbs. I won't get into the whole thing. The Fair Housing Act of 1968 provided that there needed to be less discrimination. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Can we not discriminate quite so much against people of color? Yeah, that'd be a good idea. And then a couple of years ago, Barack Obama, through his administration, sought to kind of reinforce or strengthen the Fair Housing Act of 1968. And this is now what the Orange Menace wants to roll back. Because, God forbid, we couldn't have suburbs be more diverse, which they are, because it's 2020, last I checked. Suburbs are still, don't get me wrong, they're still an abomination. I still want to abolish suburbs. By the way, whenever the Orange Menace goes down his list of all the things that Joe Biden and the Democrats want to abolish, they want to abolish police. They want to abolish the military. They want to abolish borders. None of that is true. He's talking about me. That's me. I want to abolish all those things. The Democrats don't. Joe Biden certainly doesn't want to abolish the police. He doesn't want to abolish suburbs. I do. That's me. He's talking about me. Yeah, so the Orange Menace has this notion of the suburbs that goes back to, I don't know, the 60s or the 70s. Again, I'm not saying the current suburb is the ideal situation. No. Because of the history of redlining and basic attitudes and white flight and all of that, the suburbs are still by and large not diverse, racist, bad in 1,000 different ways, bad for the environment. Yeah, I am an enemy of the suburbs generally. But he's got this 60s, 70s notion of the suburbs that they're all 100% white. And he, we hear the expression dog whistle all the time. These aren't even dog whistles anymore. He's just saying it right out loud. Well, your property values are going to go down. That's Archie Bunker. That's Archie Bunker talk from 1972. Getting Barney Hefner and the other neighbors in on the petition to make sure they don't sell a house to a black family. Yeah, property value is going to go down and violence is going to go up. He just comes right out and says it. He's not even trying to hide it anymore. He doesn't even couch it. It's not a dog whistle because dog whistles, the whole idea of a dog whistle, right? You can't hear it. Normal people can't hear it. Only dogs hear it. So a dog whistle to the racist base is some kind of code that the rest of us don't understand, but his racist base do understand. They're the dogs hearing the dog whistle that we don't hear. That's just, if you weren't sure about the use of that term. All right, so this is no longer a dog whistle. We're all hearing it. He's just saying it right damn out loud. Oh, man alive. Well, we don't talk about him the whole day. So there was a meeting about masks in Utah schools. And the meeting was postponed because a big crowd came in and filled the room, and none of them were wearing masks. From the USA Today, a public meeting about a school mask policy in Utah was postponed moments after it began because dozens of people not wearing masks filled the room. Utah County Commissioner Tanner Ainge said Wednesday the gathering in Provo, Utah, violated current health recommendations and moved to suspend the meeting until a later date. His motion to adjourn was approved with a 2-1 vote, with the dissent coming from a commissioner who had organized the meeting. This is the exact opposite of what we need to be doing, Ainge said at the meeting. We are supposed to be physically distancing, wearing masks. The audience responded with a loud chorus of boos. Yeah, there's a picture here I'm looking at. Look at all these white folks. Lord mercy, never seen so many white folks all packed together. Just jammed together in this little room, this little council room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It got to be 80 people. There's got to be 80 people just crammed together in this little room. Look at all the white folks. Utah Governor Gary Herbert, or is it Gary Hebert? No, that would be if it was in New Orleans. This is Utah. Gary Herbert announced last week that students, teachers, and faculty in public K-12 schools must wear masks in buildings and on buses, according to the Provo Daily Herald. Utah County Commissioner Bill Lee had proposed writing a letter to the county's health director directing him to ask state officials for a compassionate exemption, so-called compassionate exemption, from the mandate, but the vote on the proposal was postponed. Ainge, who said in a statement Tuesday that he opposed Lee's request, went outside and answered questions from reporters and a group of protesters, emphasizing that the mandate was not his decision, that according to the Deseret News. A woman in the crowd yelled at Ainge, asking him why he would force her daughter to wear a mask before experiencing what appeared to be a panic attack. She was taken to a hospital by paramedics. Lord mercy, she had a panic attack. 2 commissioners stayed behind to listen to the group, which included teachers and parents, according to the Herald. Carly Lisenby said Ainge and others wanted to override a parent's decision over what they think is best for their child. I think you're forgetting we live in America, Lisenby said, and we the people decide. You work for we the people, not the other way around. I'm sorry. Yeah, people in Utah, do they have that same weird Wisconsin accent? I guess not. I don't know. I don't know how to do a Utah accent. Is there a Utah accent? Studies and public health experts say masks are an important way to slow the spread of COVID-19 amid a global pandemic. We all know this by now, right? We talked about it again yesterday. The science is clear. There's a huge, unanimous consensus now. The very best tool we have is social distancing and masks. And we actually could make a difference in this pandemic. We could. Will we? I don't know. But we can. It's within our ability. Yeah. I wish you could see this picture. If you want to look at it, usatoday.com. The headline again is Meeting on Masks in Utah Schools Postponed After Crowd Without Masks Fills the Room. I don't mean to judge people just by a picture, but please. It's, if they were trying, they couldn't be more stereotypical. I mean, this is central casting. Oh, these white folks with their white privilege rage in their cut-off jeans. Come on. So there it is, the log for Friday, July 17. And this episode of The Log is available right now wherever you find your podcasts, including Apple, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, all of them. Wherever you go for your podcast, go find it. Or go to charlespurcell.com. The full archive is there and all the other series in the podcast family. Follow, comment, and contact me on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to our flagship station, River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. That theme music you're listening to right now, that's composed and performed by our musical director, Peter Donalds. So there it is, from the greatest neighborhood in the world, River West, and the New Arts and Media Studios right here in Milwaukee. I'm Charles Purcell.